What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So today I do want to discuss a little bit about Warzone. So Warzone Mobile has gotten the Season 3 update, and like I said, I was going to give it one final chance for it to redeem itself before I actually deleted the game. So I haven't really made a lot of videos on Warzone Mobile, and in fact, I haven't really made a lot of videos in general as of this past week. But yes, I'm trying to change that. I've been pretty busy with a lot of stuff. I've been going to the gym twice a day to get ready for the police. I think it's like a fitness test that I have to take in order to be more qualified. I also have to like prepare for another fitness test for like the army stuff. So yes, I've been kind of busy just trying to keep in shape as well as trying to balance out like, doing this stuff as well. So it is high time that I do talk about Warzone Mobile since the Season 3 update is out, and to tell you guys my personal opinion on, I guess, how things played out with this update. Because I know right now Warzone is kind of like in a good place, and I'm not talking about Warzone Mobile, but I'm just talking about just the main line Warzone, the one that you play on PC or console. Like, it's doing surprisingly good. A lot of players over there are kind of enjoying Verdansk being back. They're making a lot of streams, a lot of spectating videos, specifically with Jev. And, even when it comes to the development of Verdansk, I mean, it looks a lot better than it did before. And not only that, I mean, they brought back a lot of old mechanics that people liked from the past. And even they did it all the way down to the sounds. I mean, even when you kill someone, it sounds like the classic killing sound back in Modern Warfare 2019. They tried to appeal to the player base as much as they can before everything went to the shitter, because before that, people didn't want to play Warzone, people didn't want to play Black Ops 6, things were kind of, I mean, Call of Duty in general was at its low point, with the exception of COD Mobile. But of course, that's Warzone itself. I mean, they run things differently. They have a bigger development team, and, they actually could fix stuff compared to Warzone Mobile, which unfortunately, I do have to say, with the Season 3 update, nothing really changed. Whether it comes to gameplay mechanics or more importantly, game performance and graphics, nothing has changed at all. The frame rate's still the same. The graphics are still pretty shitty compared to how it was when it first launched. So yeah, nothing really has changed. I've only like throughout the entire hour that I played that game, I was only able ever to find one little fix. So the fix involves actually the controller player. So for some reason, you weren't able to use the D-pad to use your score streaks. You had to tap on the screen. It was some issue that was kind of ongoing for the controller for at least a few months. Well, I guess during the duration of Season 2. But apparently they fixed that. I did notice it, but that's like the only change that I really noticed. Everything else was basically the same. The game was lagging. No matter what graphic setting or frame settings I had, it basically performed the same exact way. Not only that, there's no new camo challenges. Dark matter wasn't added. There's no way to still grind out your Interstellar or to grind out Orion. Like, all that stuff is still gone. We were also apparently promised playlists, maybe bringing back Shipment or bringing up back other maps like Rust, where long shots would be a lot more feasible. But again, none of that happened. All the modes are still exactly the same. The only difference there is that they changed a little bit of Verdansk, and that's it. In terms of multiplayer and just game performance, nothing has really changed significantly. Reason why I was so picky with Dark Matter being part of the camo grind for Warzone Mobile was first because obviously, I mean, they let us grind Interstellar and Orion when the game first released, right? But there was really no reason to take that away, or there was really no reason to not have Dark Matter as a grind there. And second, it would have been nice to have something to do in Warzone Mobile while you guys are actually fixing the fucking game. That's kind of the reason why I played Warzone Mobile in the first place, because they had Interstellar and they also had Orion. They had us do something while they were repairing the game. And they were doing a pretty good job at repairing it too. A lot of devices during that time stopped overheating. They were actually starting to perform a little bit better. They were fixing voice chat. They were fixing a lot of different things. But really, ever since the Black Ops 6 update where we got all those weapons, it's just getting worse and worse and worse every single time, and we don't even know why. They're not talking to us. They're not really explaining as to like what difficulties that they have. And I know it's not really something that they probably should discuss, but it would help in this instance, so we could at least understand what kind of frustrations they have. And we understand that they have a smaller team working on the game now ever since the layoffs. But you're lowering your support for a lot of different phones that could could have clearly ran the game and they were running it fine before. And you have less devices to work with to optimize, but yet you're not getting it done. I mean, if an iPad M4 cannot even run the game at a stable 30 frames per second, what the hell are you doing? It was able to run at 120 frames prior, or like on high graphics with an M2 iPad prior. But now we have an even stronger iPad that can't even run the game at that same graphics setting with 30 frames per second. Like, it's crazy. Like, you have to tell us at some point what's going on. Is it the engine? Is it that the chips are, or like the chipsets that, Samsung or Apple have, like, are they just not enough? Like, what's going on? And then we have like all these unexplainable types of issues happening where, let's say, for example, you were fixing the game, like let's say all the bugs, right? Let's say they're fixing the D-pad issue with the controller, they're fixing some issues with the touch, but then somehow, like when the update releases, somehow when you start shooting your weapon, the game starts lagging like crazy, which that wasn't an issue prior. Like we have no explanation as to why things like that are happening. I remember I made a video with COD Mobile because in one of the major updates that we ended up getting, for some reason, like the controller support just completely stopped working. Like at least on iPad, it was working on the phone, but it wasn't working on the iPad. And I was so pissed off because at that point, Call of Duty was kind of, or at least COD Mobile was at its low point, right? Where like they weren't really buffing or nerfing the weapons that needed to be buffed or nerfed. They weren't fixing a lot of key bug issues. They were kind of like lacking in terms of fixing stuff. Of course, they've improved a lot over time, but during that time, COD Mobile was at its low point. So I got extremely pissed off when they, like, I guess accidentally took out the controller support for the iPad. I'm just like, how the hell, like, does all this bug fixing affect the controller support? It's like, it doesn't make any sense, right? I got pissed off during that time because an issue like that had no connection with what type of bugs fixes or what type of fixes in general they were doing with the game. Let me explain it to you better. Let me give you like I guess a more understandable analogy. So let's say you have a car that's breaking down, like maybe it has a gas leak and you take it to the shop, right? And then you wait a day and then you come back to the shop and they give you back your car. But then somehow your car has a flat tire for some reason, right? Like, you would think to yourself, well, they were fixing the gas leak. How the hell did this become a problem, right? Or if they're fixing the gas leak and you got your car back after, and then like your windshield's like cracked and shit. Like, like that's the problem with like Warzone Mobile right now. There are issues that need to be fixed, but then when they get fixed, another issue happens where there's like no actual point of origin. Basically, issues that shouldn't have been issues in the first place, but somehow they are issues. Even right now, like I said, when you're firing your weapon nonstop, especially if you're in a situation where you have to keep firing from a long range, the performance just drops like crazy, like the more you shoot. Like, where did that issue come from before? That wasn't a problem in the previous update. And with Apple specifically, whenever they're releasing an update, Apple has to approve it to make sure it's not broken. I don't know how these updates keep going through. I know with Google Play, it's a little bit less secure, but with Apple, they want to make sure that like the games are functioning properly. But goddamn, not to a bare minimum. And even if it's not Apple themselves testing the app, what about the people that are actually developing the game? Like, don't you see these types of issues that happen? And if you know that these are issues, why do you release the update? And I could understand maybe there's deadlines that they have to meet. Maybe there's some higher up telling them that you need to release this update on this day. You have to, like, no matter what issues there are, you need to just release it. Okay, but can you at least highlight what those issues are so we could be more aware of it? Stuff like that. And then say like, hey, we're working to fix it. And that's the problem. I don't think they can because they have such a small development team. And honestly, I don't even know if they even have the willpower to even fix the game anymore because they're just releasing these things at a very, not even a half-ass, like a fucking 10% assed fucking manner. And it begs the question, why does this game still get supported? Why does it still exist? I mean, the sales, at least from this game alone, are just not even worth it. The problem is that we can't keep hoping that every major update or even the reloaded updates are going to do anything because clearly they haven't changed anything. And even during the times when the game was a lot more stable, like when they were still supporting Modern Warfare 3 guns, things still weren't being changed. And look, let's say they're just focusing solely on Verdansk. Maybe that's why the map looks a lot more redesigned, looks a lot more cleaner, and performs a little bit better. I mean, that's cool, but every aspect of this game needs to be good. Even with multiplayer, where there's maps that are like thousands of times smaller than Verdansk, and somehow they're lagging like fucking crazy. Like, something needs to be done about those as well. But that's probably why they don't change multiplayer, because, knowing that there's nothing to do in multiplayer, no camo grind, nothing. Yeah, they're just focusing solely on Verdansk. But if that's going to be the case, if you're just going to make this game a battle royale only type of game, then just remove multiplayer, because you're not making any changes to that. But again, that leads to a very confusing part of this whole situation, where they want to add all these different playlists like Rust and I guess Shipment, Meat, whatever the case may be. And like multiplayer runs more like shit than Battle Royale. Like, how does that make sense? Why do you want to release a playlist on a freaking broken ass mode? It's crazy. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how much longer Warzone Mobile is gonna stay. If anything, it's stayed longer than it deserves to stay. But clearly, I don't know why they haven't given up on the game. Maybe it's Activision telling them to just keep working on it until there's a proper point to sunset it. I'm hoping that probably after Black Ops 6 they shut down the game. But again, I don't really like, with Verdansk doing very well in the mainline CODs, like right now in just Warzone and PC and Xbox. Like, I don't really see Warzone, falling short anymore, because a lot of people were worried that Warzone was going to shut down if Verdansk didn't succeed, but clearly it is succeeding, which is fine. That's something that everyone wanted. But what about this game, right? I mean, we have Verdansk as well, but maybe not in the most refined way. But at the same time, no one's really playing it because of how badly it performs. And I feel like it's kind of like a waste to, I guess, waste all these resources on a game that no one wants to play anymore. Like, there has to be a time where you realize, like, it's time to call it quits. Like, Warzone Mobile was a good concept, but the way that it was executed was just poorly. You would think that, given like the 2 or 3 plus years that they had to develop this game, the game would be stable as hell. But they failed miserably. I mean, we understood back when it was first announced, because it was at its alpha stages, that at some point when it actually releases, it's going to look a lot better, and it looked promising. A lot of updates happened a little bit after that, and the game looked a lot better. The game was performing way better than what we saw at the alpha stage, and it gave us a lot of hope. But then when the game released, it was just like, man, like, it ran like shit. And even during that time, we still gave it the benefit of the doubt. They were fixing a lot of things, which was nice, but it wasn't enough, because there just more issues just kept coming out. And then when the Black Ops 6 update came out, that's when it was just at its worst, and it continued to stay that way. So I don't know. I mean, I think they have to shut down the game at some point. Like, I think it's time that the game just goes away. It's not improving. Nothing's going to happen. The sales are at all-time low. The player base is at all-time low. All these YouTubers that are trying to motivate people to play and saying like, "Oh, look at this best new update yet." Like, they're delusional as hell. And I appreciate their, I guess, their dedication to the game. I understand. Like, I've been hopelessly dedicated to certain things as well. But again, it's not working anymore. No amount of dropping support for older devices is going to fix this. You could be working on one device alone, and I still guarantee you that the game is going to be buggy as hell anyways. I'd go as far as to say that you could have this game running on a Switch too, and it's still probably going to run like shit. Which is actually something I do want to talk about for COD Mobile. Now that we know the specs of it, I do want to make a video on that. But anyways, with Warzone Mobile still failing to provide a decently stable update, yeah, it's no wonder why people are turning away. And again, I want to hold on to this tiny little hope that maybe season 3 they would fix a lot of issues. Maybe have the game at the very least perform a tiny bit better. But no, they didn't deliver on anything other than fixing the D-pad for the controller, at least from what I saw. I was kind of preoccupied with the Switch 2 announcement, because, the Switch 2 announcement as well as the Warzone Mobile update came out around the same day. Tabby was the one that actually told me that the game ran like shit still. Like, she has I think her iPhone 15 or iPhone 16 Pro or some device that she runs to play Call of Duty Mobile. She tried it. She said it sucked, but I still decided to give it the benefit of the doubt, because of course that's her phone. I want to see how it performed with my M4 iPad. Same result. So again, Shut this game the fuck down. It's not worth it anymore. Like, you're wasting your precious development time and money on a game that's just seems like it's never going to be fixed. If anything, just hire these developers for like a different type of Call of Duty game, like a different mobile game. You know, have their own type of engine, have something that would actually be playable. But yeah, anyways, I deleted the game from both my phone and my iPad. Ain't fucking downloading it again. If they have some sort of stellar update that actually fixed everything, which, let's be honest, even if they did, I don't think people are even going to bother to check because they're already so like used to thinking that every update's going to be trash. Like, I don't know, I don't really see myself downloading the game again. And I tried that method where if you like uninstall and re-download the game fresh, it's going to run better. It didn't it didn't change anything. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and I'll see you guys next time.